MMA journalist Ariel Helwani mercilessly trolled Dillon Danis after the Bellator fighter labeled him a B for coming out in support of the internet sensation turned boxer Jake Paul. Here's all the tea we have on that, as well as the latest developments in the world of MMA. Before we continue, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Helwani versus Danis. Earlier, Helwani captioned Paul's real challenge to Dana White as Bigger Dub. Ariel, apparently giving credit to Jake for his efforts to rattle the UFC boss, didn't really sit well with Dillon Danis, who replied calling Ariel a B. Since leaving his former gig at ESPN just last year, Ariel Helwani has taken on the role of Helwani, which he fully used while forming his replies to Danis. As we could all see, the experienced MMA journalist came out hard and trolled El Jefe with a string of tweets. He made fun of how Danis begged for 3 years to go up against Jake Paul, and at the end of those 3 years, still didn't get to face him on account of himself simply not being considered a worthy match. Absolutely brutal. And that's not all. There's even more where that came from. Helwani wasn't done talking. He continued, "Hey guys, follow me real quick and I'll follow you back and pay you 1,000. Get a grip, Dillon. Who acts like this? 3, 2, 1. Before old DD texts me, hey bro, why don't you like me? Like I thought we were cool, bro. Can't wait for the witty tweet reply too. And then he'll call for a truce and then ask me to retweet his tweets every 2 seconds. What a pleasure." And now that he said what he came to say, he comes to the conclusion and tweets yet again saying that perhaps the year has finally come in which he'll stand up to the challenge, and he's hoping that happens so the social media war that everyone ends up watching can also wrap up. To make things even worse for Danis was the fact that the popular Twitter handle MMA History then went on to make public the following information about his pretty long absence from the ring, saying the last time he performed was so long ago, no one even knew what COVID was at the time. Yikes. Jake Paul claims he will retire from boxing if UFC's Dana White accepts his 3 demands in 5 days. Jake Paul addressed all UFC fighters and called on them to rise up and make more demands, asking for higher pay, long-term healthcare benefits, and more freedom within their contracts. He also went on to say that he is ready to leave boxing, but on the condition that UFC President Dana White agrees to these demands. Just last week, the YouTuber turned boxer uploaded a screenshot of his list of demands directed at White, age 52, in a social media statement. Paul has spent quite some time in hopes of going up against a UFC fighter, though White still hasn't let any fighters currently under contract with UFC to fight at all outside of the sport, as reported by Fox News. He wished Dana White a happy new year in a tweet, and then said he would quit boxing and go up against Jorge Masvidal in the UFC if these demands were met. We're sure you're all wondering, and this list of demands for now includes to increase minimum fighter pay per fight to $50,000. It currently stands at $12,000. To promise UFC fighters half of the UFC annual revenues. In 2021, that number rounded up to $1 billion. Also, lastly, he wants long-term health care to be given to all fighters under UFC. He also pointed out in a tweet that there are many veteran UFC fighters who have gone on the record and stated that they're suffering long-term brain damage. The response. In response to Paul's words, White then released his own statement the very same day in a video he uploaded on Twitter. He denied Paul's claims that he was a cocaine user, then called Paul a cheater and went on to accuse Paul of using steroids. He then proceeded to attack and question Paul's list of demands, saying that no one actually believes that he wrote those demands because he's just not smart enough. White also personally called out a member of Paul's team who he said used to work for him before and now doesn't, claiming that member of his current team was formerly working as an accountant for White. He didn't want to give out too many past details and just called him a scumbag. He went on to challenge Paul, saying, "But if you two think that you can do it better than we do, we're doing this whole thing wrong. You can treat the fighters better than we do. Knock yourself out," he retaliated. "Start your own business." Judging by the way Paul's behaved in the past, we wouldn't be surprised if he actually took that as advice instead of an insult and just went for it. On Sunday morning, Paul then again clapped back at White, this time not in a tweet, but choosing instead to upload a video response. "My response to Dana White's embarrassing response," he titled the clip. "We hear Paul say in the video that he doesn't do steroids, and even said that he was flattered that White would suggest that he was. I'm a fat B," he sarcastically replied. Paul also took some shots at White's looks, among other comments, before coming to the rescue of his manager, who he cleared out and revealed was actually the former CFO of White's company. Currently, Paul's professional boxing record is 5-0. Jake Paul's Tyron Woodley KO was so brutal that he has zero memory of it. Paul came out victorious against Tyron Woodley in 2 fights and has also won matches against Ben Askren, Nate Robinson, and Ali Asun-Gibb. After last month's match between Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, the ex-UFC welterweight champion's trainer Dean Thomas has stated that the fighter had no memory of the vicious knockout from Paul. Paul brought out a beautiful hook in the 6th round, with Woodley lagging on each judge's scorecard. It was that exact knockout that was given the title ESPN Ringside's Knockout of the Year for 2021 after the punch won and bagged itself 56% of the votes. Thomas commented to SiriusXM via Boxing Scene, "I think he went through a series of different emotions. I remember standing outside the ring as soon as it happened and he was like, no, when do I go back out? He didn't even know. Right when it happened, he thought it was in between rounds, and I'm sure he was probably wondering why everybody was standing inside the ring." Woodley showed up ready to fight, and that too on just a 2-week notice, with the YouTube star first being scheduled to face up against Tyson's brother, Tommy Fury. Fury had nothing else he could do but remove himself from the showdown after going on the record and confirming he did indeed have a bacterial chest infection as well as a broken rib. However, he still has definite plans to have a match with Jake Paul in the near future when he can. Tyron Woodley's defeat. As for Tyron Woodley, it's been a disappointing come down, losing not one but both of his matches with Paul, with the first defeat happening all the way back in August via a close points decision. The knockout from Paul was so big because it was the first time Woodley had suffered a knockout in over 9 years. That's almost a decade. Showing us how Paul has now stopped all 4 of his professional opponents in the arena, it's more than a little impressive. Woodley's trainer also continued to say that he didn't know anything at the time. He was in total disbelief when he saw the knockout and couldn't bring himself to accept what he had just seen. Obviously, everyone on the team was super disappointed. Whether Woodley really didn't remember the knockout or he's just saying it, one thing for sure is that no one else will be forgetting that defeat anytime soon. Fixed fight? There were even rumors that the match was fixed. His trainer stepped in and firmly denied all those claims that the knockout punch was the plan from the very beginning. "It makes me laugh," Dean Thomas said when discussing the rumors on MMA on SiriusXM after his client Tyron lost to Paul. Mere moments before Paul's knockout punch was delivered that sent Woodley to the ground for good, Twitter critics claim that upon further observation of the match, they noticed that Paul jerked his right wrist before delivering the blow as a hidden signal that the punch was on its way. We're going to have to chalk this one down to people just not liking Paul and the fact that he's bagging victories for himself in the ring non-stop. Do you think Paul wrote those demands himself? Was the match against Tyron fixed? Leave a comment down below and let us know what you think. But before you go, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Until next time, bye.